Assalamualaikum and greetings to Sir Rudi Ansar. My name is Nurul Arfa Izzati binti Abdurrahim with metric number BB21110690. I will be presenting the article review for the study of ethical practice disclosure of Malaysian public listed companies. Let's see the introduction of my article review. So basically, the study of ethical practice disclosure of Malaysian public listed companies by Ahmad Firdaus Zainal Abidin, Hafiza Asha Hashim, Zalaila Saleh and Susala Devi investigate the level of ethical practice disclosure in Malaysian publicly traded corporation. And among the 6 elements culled from the literature that are used to measure ethical practice disclosure are corporate ethical ideals, action to promote ethics, whistleblowing policy, code of ethics, sustainability practices, and ethics committee. So the authors intend to investigate the extent and quality of ethical practice disclosure in these firms. The study also used content analysis to evaluate the annual reports of 100% Malaysia-listed companies. Next, I will explain about the critiques that I found in this research. The first one is the sample size, where the study looked at 1,115 annual findings across the 5-year period as is specified. Even while this may seem like a big amount, Malaysia may have a lot more publicly traded businesses overall. The sample size could create bias and restrict the generalization of the results if it is not representative of the total population. Researchers might work to use a sampling technique that includes a wider spectrum of organization in order to address this criticism. This could be selecting businesses at random from various industries, taking into account the size and market capitalization of the businesses, or maybe making sure there is representation from various Malaysian regions. A bigger sample size study can also improve the statistical power of the analysis, allowing for the drawing of more conclusive inferences from the data. For the second critique is the lack of specific recommendations in the article to remedy the noted ethical inadequacies. For politicians, regulators, and businesses to take actionable efforts to enhance ethical practices, specific recommendations are essential. It would be easier for regulatory agencies to create effective rules and legislation to improve corporate governance if they receive clear recommendation. Additionally, they would assist businesses in determining their areas of weakness and strengthening their ethical decision-making procedures. On the other hand, precise recommendation would be advantageous to investors by supplying clear standards for evaluating organizations' ethical performance, and the particular guidelines promote industrial cooperation and knowledge exchange. So next, the third critique is the lack of comparison analysis in this research. It restricts our comprehensions of the wider ethical landscape. Comparative analysis entails contrasting moral standards among various nations or locations. Without this study, we are unable to tell if the observed ethical behaviors are particular to Malaysia or comply with international norms. Comparative analysis is crucial for benchmarking, spotting regulatory loopholes, and gathering knowledge from best practices and trends around the world. It allows us to see how Malaysian businesses stack up against their peers globally and identifies areas for development. Future research should compare the ethical standards followed by Malaysian businesses with those in other nations in order to address this criticism. For the last critique is the limited time frame, where the time period covered by the article is limited to the years 2012 until 2016. The comprehensiveness and applicability of the findings are constrained by this limitation. The study might make significant advancements and changes in ethical practices throughout time if it simply takes into account a limited period of time. The short timescale may also make it difficult to compare this study to other ones or to worldwide norms. It can be difficult to evaluate Malaysia's practices in a global context because other nations may have different schedules for ethical reforms. And for the future study should broaden the time frame to include a longer time period and make sure the findings are still applicable to address this issue. In conclusion, this research article clarifies the moral standards of Malaysian publicly traded firms. It draws attention to the frequency of unethical behavior and the necessity of higher ethical standards and disclosure procedures. And the study also shows Malaysia's ethical system shortcomings in publicly traded businesses. According to this research, there's a few things that inspires me. The article encourages us to acknowledge the value of ethics in both personal and professional life. It acts as a call to action by reminding us of the transformative potential of moral conduct and the significance of advancing morality throughout all spheres of society. That's all from me. Thank you.